So, ladies and gentlemen, and especially Steaua fans, this is another podcast and interview that I'm doing for you guys in English, and it's a big surprise. And some of you that didn't watch Too Close Volleyball, you're not gonna have a chance to see this guy anymore, because I just find out this was his single season with Steaua, and now he's gonna stay back in Canada, and he's not gonna come back. So I'm kind of like fortunate to have this interview with him. I don't know if I'm the last one. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be the last one. There's going to be people in Canada and all over the place. And I'm also one of the first people that he talked to before he came in Romania and playing for Steaua, because I kind of catch up the news before he came in Romania, and I got his first words before even the press from Romania. So I'm fortunate because of all this situations and stuff. Today we're going to talk about volleyball. As you guys know, it's one of our big section that has a lot of history. As you guys know, we have 5 European finals, 2 Champions League, and 3 Cup of Cups. I know those are from a long time ago, but they still count as 5 finals. And we also have 17 Romanian titles. And at the beginning of this year, I know everybody was hoping the route for the 18 banner, but it wasn't happening. And I thought I'm going to ask my guest, maybe he's going to be one of the people that could give us the banner. But after I heard that he's not coming back, at least I hope he's going to cross the finger for us, and we're going to get that banner soon. Because we haven't won a title in volleyball since 1991. It's kind of like a curse. Like I could do a comparison. I don't know if you guys know. We're kind of like the Cowboys in volleyball for Steaua, because they haven't been winning since 1990 something. But anyway, this is like another history. I'm not gonna tell you history about other clubs now, because as I told my guest, a couple of my memories and experience and how much I care about this club and about this team. I'm trying to gonna make like a small presentation. I'm not gonna talk too much about it, because you guys are already used with me and what I say, and I'm just gonna make like a small like resume. As I could tell you, he's from the region of Ontario, Canada. The city is Stratford. It's also like a small town. From what I found out, I think it's around like 30,000 people that lives over there. He's a big guy, because he plays volleyball. It's like around 207 centimeters, and he weighs like 96 kilos. I put like kilos because I know, even though I'm talking in English, everybody is used with meters and kilograms, not pounds and inches and stuff like that. He plays the position of middle blocker or center for some people, and he didn't have a chance to win a title with that, but he won a title with other clubs that he was playing with. I'm sorry, I'm not going to mention those, because I'm not good at the Czech language, and I don't know anything of it. And maybe he's going to pronounce those teams when I'm going to ask him. And also he played in France. He graduated he also played in the high school for a big, well-known, the Waterloo Tigers volleyball club, and also in the university. He played for a good team, and almost all of his career he played. I think almost all of his career, from what I've been like searching, he only played with the number 12. And the national team, he played with the number 15. I'm actually going to ask him like a question like that, if he was wearing any other numbers, and if it's something behind that. I'm kind of like thinking it's because of his birthday, because that's when it's his birthday. So he has a title in Czech Republic. He played in France. He played for national team of Canada. He played in the Czech Republic Champions League. He also played in a CEV Challenge Cup with Steaua this past year. So he still play in European cups. But my presentation is already too long, and I didn't tell you guys too much information, and because actually I know most of the stuff, but I want you guys to find out from his words and through all my questions. And I'm gonna stop right here. And dear friends, and especially Steaua fans, and I know everybody's gonna watch this as a rerun because now we're doing this uh, in our time over here in the North American continent, and everybody's sleeping in Romania. So if you'll be somebody watching, I will be like surprised. But anyway, uh, I hope you guys gonna enjoy this interview, and I'm just gonna go and give you guys the guess because I'm thinking I'm gonna just like bubble in myself now because I already talked too much. So without further ado, dear friends, Steaua fans, I'm giving you guys today, um, and I'm very honored to present you our ex volleyball player, Marc Wilson.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for the interview and
Uh,
the introduction. I was very impressed that you knew that I played for the Waterloo Tigers. That was a
yeah,
long, long time ago. Very good. You've done your research.
yeah, and I know with all the teams that you play for, but I don't want to make any because I didn't learn French in high school. I know a lot of expression and words and stuff, but I still don't know if I'm going to pronounce it right. And
Yeah,
especially the
I can
ones
do
in
it for
Czech Republic, definitely I'm not going to get them. So, but my first question is always I'm trying to say I'm starting from the roots, and it's a question like 3-in-1. It's not like next cafe 3-in-1, but it's it's kind of
you.
like a three. So how is this wonderful um, journey and story of yours started? Um when was the age when you feel like attracted to the sports, and who discovered you?
Yeah, okay. So both my parents, they're more artistic. My father's an architect, and my mother was a graphics designer
Yep.
before she had me and all my brothers and sisters. And so sports weren't pushed by my parents at all.
Yep.
I just kind of grew to naturally like them. I think just because I was a boy in high school and out at recess um, playing football or anything. It was mostly that. It was mostly soccer, but
Yep.
football, um, and so later in high school, when you're kind of searching for what to do, what am I going to do, what school am I going to go see, and I actually grew quite a bit. So I had when I was kind of 16, 17. I shot up and I was really tall and I was very skinny and I didn't weigh very much. And so naturally, I got pushed into sports with my peers and my friends. And so I started playing basketball and volleyball and soccer, like I was saying.
Yep.
And, and so it was difficult to be, soccer was challenging for me just because I was tall and gangly and uncoordinated. And, I just feel like I was like a baby deer running around. And the same thing was with basketball as well. I didn't like getting muscled around. I was
Yep.
big and but I didn't have any muscle on me whatsoever. And I found a way that I could succeed in volleyball as a blocker. There was a use where it wasn't really a contact sport, but my height was a big advantage, and so that was how I was inspired. I was inspired not necessarily by the sport, but by the feeling of being good at something, or admired, or yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So late, it was when I was 17. So I decided to try and find a club, and that's when I found the Waterloo Tigers. And I was in late in. I joined them late in the season. It was kind of a fluke or by chance that I was even able to get on the team at that time.
Yep.
And yeah, and so then I joined up that club. I remember it to this day. I went up to the back of a dark alleyway, basically in Waterloo in Canada, and rapped on a big steel door and
Yep.
opened up to a gym, and that was how my volleyball experience started. And I had a coach that used that that trained me quite well, and I continued to feel good and very and great at the sport, and kind of chase that feeling. Um, and yeah, and so yeah, that's kind of the origin. That's how I started. I was inspired by volleyball, and then later I created the kind of vision to be part of the national team. That's always been my goal, and which I achieved quite late in my career, just over this past summer. That was like the first time that I had ever played
Yeah.
for the senior team.
Right.
So that was another reason that kind of, as you mentioned, led to um, my retirement there. And so I ticked all the boxes, and it was a pleasure to be at Steaua to make some sort of contribution and have one more really enjoyable experiences at the end.
Yeah,
Um,
you were like the runner-up anyway, so you were almost getting the title.
yeah. You know what? I'm sure we'll get to that a little bit later. But I wish we won that thing, but
Yeah,
I'm going to call the silver medal a step to success.
right.
It's yeah. Did that answer your question, Philly?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
And I forgot to tell you that from time to time I'm just gonna put like pictures with you in
Yeah.
time.
No, it looks
Like
great.
I just put one with you wearing the jersey for Steaua, and that's
Mm,
already like a legend now because you said that you're
yeah.
not gonna come back.
It's going
Uh,
to be hung up.
but also, so I want to ask you because like I said, I've been watching some of your podcasts before you came to Romania, and before I was setting up this interview, and
Mhm.
I see that when you were playing for your last team in Czech Republic before you came to Steaua, you were kind of like not sure like if it's risky to go to another country and another team. So how was your reaction when you heard that you want to be recruited at Steaua, and how much did you know about our club, and then how much do you know now?
Yeah, with my time, so the club that you're referencing in Czech Republic the name is pronounced VK Karlovasko. So I was with
Yeah,
this club called Karlovasko, and I had a few experiences actually coming to Romania before.
yeah,
In a Challenge Cup, we played Zilao, and then in the Champions League qualifications, we actually played Galati as well.
yeah,
Um, so I had some experiences within the country itself, but I had never, experienced Steaua by any means, or Bucharest.
yeah,
The reason that I was like hesitant to leave the Czech Republic was because really I had, I played up in a beautiful city for 3 years. The city it's the city is called Karlovy in Czech Republic, and it's a wonderful place to live,
yeah,
and I had great teammates, and I loved the club. But since I knew that the end of my career was near, one of the benefits as a foreigner is to have kind of as many experiences as you can. And so I felt like I had spent 3 years with that team, and that was enough of that experience. I was ready to search for something else, even though everything was great about it. I
yeah,
just wanted something new. And so the things that appealed to me with Steaua was, like we kind of mentioned before, prior to going live, was
yeah,
I liked the fact that it was going to be the first club that was a major organization. It was a sport. It was a sports organization. It wasn't a private club. It wasn't anything
yeah,
like that. And lots of things are a big benefit to me when hearing that and researching that, because it provides a sense of security. You know, it's just a trusted organization, because sometimes you don't really know what you're getting into in most sports. Playing professionally and moving to a completely different scenario, and people and country in general. And then the other thing too was I was excited. I was excited that beard's a little bit shorter now.
yeah,
But yeah, that was the playoff beard. That was my playoff beard. Right as we won in Carlo Vasco. Yeah,
yeah,
everybody just never shaved in the playoffs,
yeah,
and But where was I? And then another thing that was appealing to me was, like you said, I'm from Stratford, Ontario, and it's a small city of 30,000. So I've lived in small cities most of my life, and including in my most recent experience in Czech Republic, in Karlovy Vary. It's a smaller city too. I think it's only around like
Yeah.
100,000. And so I live near to Toronto, which is about 2 million people. It's a
Yeah.
very similar size to Bucharest. It's kind of like 2 million people in the heart of the city, and then it kind of expands into
Yeah. Yeah.
other communities, um, to 4, 5 million people. So I've always been curious as to what it was like to live in Toronto, to have a more kind of bustling city kind of energy. And so then, yeah, that was the appeal to that as well, to have the experience of living in Bucharest, in the capital of Romania.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, that's such a funny photo. I don't know what the heck I was looking at the top. I was staring off. But yeah, that was me at my university, the University of Guelph in
Yeah.
Ontario. That was also a wonderful experience too.
Yeah.
So put on a little bit more weight since then.
All right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
And speaking about that, I know because you say you've been trying to other sports too, like soccer and basketball.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to ask you the usual question. What was your debut in this sport? I'm going to ask you what was the time when you realized that you're actually going to have a career with this sport and it's not going to be a joke.
Hmm. Okay. So, yeah, that's I think when I was I think I was 18 or 19, so I was playing for our provincial team, so the
Yeah.
region of Ontario, and we had an opportunity to meet a player named Dan Lewis. So at the time I think he was still the libero. He played as a receiver and a libero for his career, and he came and he spoke to our provincial team, and he
Right.
basically said that like that was kind of where the idea of playing professionally even existed. Like I didn't even know when I was younger that that was an option, and so I found this pathway through a senior player of our national team who told us that, like, look, if you
Yeah.
this is a real thing. If you're at this level right now, and you continue to pursue it through university and through the pathway of the national team, it can be a real thing. So
Yeah.
so that was kind of what really motivated me, and too the like the glamour of being a professional athlete too, right? Like that's a pretty exciting thing, especially as a younger person.
Yeah.
um, and so when I was selected for, I had tried to be a part of the national team when I was in university between the ages of like 17 to 22. But I had a very difficult time. The competition was hard, and I was never selected for the team
Oh.
until later on when I graduated from university, and
Yeah.
I think that was when I was 23. That would have been, yeah, and and so when I finally had that selection, so that was like kind of the last chance.
Yeah.
And if I didn't get selected for this national team program where I could spend a year training to because there's a gap between, or at least especially so in my age, where for the level of university volleyball in Canada compared to professional like European volleyball, like
Yeah.
there's a big gap. Um, yeah, so that's actually a picture from my fifth year. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that would have been my graduating year and the year that I was selected for at the time what was called the full-time training center at Volleyball Canada. And so that was the moment where I was just like, okay, somebody has seen something in me. I could pursue this. I now have a training facility where I can grow full time for 1 year, and we did some tours in France during that time, just some training camps with pro teams, and eventually I got signed. That's how I got signed to France. So it's that was really like the big turning point. That's what started my career. Is that kind of 1 to 2 year stint with the national
Yeah.
team. Yeah,
Uh,
there you go.
I also want to ask you, were you always like a strong person mentally, or at the beginning you're kind of like emotional and in time and through experience you kind of know how to manage your like emotions better?
Okay. Yeah, that's a really oh man, that's a good question. Give me 30 seconds to kind of think about that
Yeah.
while I to how to process and answer that. Um, so the first thing that comes to mind is um, yeah, okay, I got it. It's a good answer. Okay. So the
You can
biggest
take
the
your
big
time. Don't worry.
no, I got it.
I could miss the start of the Celtics because you know it's the Celtics they're playing
Oh
at
yeah,
8:30.
no
But
worries.
it's not more important than Steaua anyway.
Good. We're in the right place then.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so I would say that the biggest like mental lesson and turning point that I had in my career overall was one that I actually learned later in my career. So it was with my time with Carlo Vasco, and this was my whole career basically. I had been battling to make like when I said when I made it on the national team, that was only to their B team. That's like the extended roster. So it's not officially like their senior team.
yeah,
Um, so you would play in only NORCECA competitions. You wouldn't play in like VMNL or World Championships or the Olympics or anything like that. Um, so I had never really felt like I had truly made the national team.
yeah,
And so through my whole career, that's what I was always striving to. Even playing pro, I wanted to be on the national team. I was playing professionally to get better, to be on the national team. And so, I was always mentally kind of competing and comparing myself to people that were ahead of me on that team, the people that were on the rosters. Okay, who do I need to beat out to be better than? And it was obsessive, and it was a challenging kind of hurdle to overcome. And then eventually, when I stopped thinking about that, I had my it was my second year with Carlo Vasco, and I had a very a really good performance in Champions League, and I played against Novosibirsk, Trentino, and Friedrichshafen,
yeah,
and my numbers were comparable to some of the other rostered Canadians on the national team in that same Champions League qualification or Champions League pool play. And so, since I still didn't get the call after that, after a really good performance, I kind of gave up on the goal. And mentally, I just said, you know what, Mark, you're just going to stop comparing yourself to everybody else, and you're just going to show up and just try and be better than yesterday's you.
yeah.
And if that's better, then you're heading in the right direction. And nothing else, things outside I started to not think about things that were outside of my control, and just focusing on the things that I could control, on a day to day, showing up to practice, getting the work in, doing the things that I need to do to become a better version of myself. And once I learned that, I felt like I truly had become, that's where I gained my mental strength, because that kind of mindset even trickles down to the moment, what happens when you lose hard matches, that mindset applies. Or when you win, when you have those big upsets, it applies to small technical things like
Yeah.
having to serve at like a difficult time at a clutch moment, yeah, just stuff like that. I would say that was the biggest mental like challenge or hurdle that I had in my career. It was stop comparing myself to other people that I was competing with, and just focusing on each individual action every day that was totally in my control, and making those things better step by step.
Right. And
Yeah.
kind of like an extension to this, but I think maybe you already answered it. It's like when you had like, let's say, not negative, but unfortunate experience, let's say, because in every sports, like when you swimming, you don't want to fell with your belly on a water, or in your soccer, you don't want to somebody hit your face. What was I don't know how should I call it in volleyball? Also, like if somebody hit you in the face, or
Okay.
if you're missing the ball or stuff like that. How were those experience? Did they made you uh, give up for the moment, or I had some guests that they said that the negative experiences made them to fall in love much more with the sport.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, okay. So um well, I'll tell you some of my experiences with the volleyball's a non-contact sport, but
Yeah.
it is a contact sport with the ball. So in a weird sense of the way. I am I would say that I have good jumping ability above average, and so I get to a point where my face is often exposed and high above the net, and so I've got many balls in the face.
Yeah.
But you kind of learn that it's just a part of the sport. It's the same thing with I don't know if I've ever met a pretty much every volleyball player that I've played with at my level has broken fingers and
Wow.
things like that. But the only finger I've broken was just my thumb when I had a ball come down, and I just want to make sure that my camera is still working here.
Oh,
Um, do you still?
yeah. I could still hear you. Maybe
Oh,
it's
you can still hear me? Okay.
yeah, yeah,
I hope it catches up. I hope it catches up.
yeah. Well,
Uh,
don't worry. If something happened, I forgot to tell you at the beginning. If in case something happened, you could get out and come back, and I think he's gonna get on track again.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, I had broken some fingers before, or one finger, but yeah, it's yeah, I think you just learn the challenges of the sport, and begin to figure them out eventually,
Yeah.
and they just become a part of everyday life
Right.
within the sport. Here, I'm just gonna just try and fix my camera here.
Yeah.
In a sec.
Don't worry about it. Yeah. Uh,
Here we go. Just give me
you could,
one moment.
yeah, no problem. You could even get out and come back if you want. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm just gonna try and unplug my restart my camera.
Yeah. At the beginning, I saw actually there were like 3 or 4 people that were watching us. Maybe,
Oh, really?
yeah. So
Very
I'm
cool.
surprised, but I think they just saw and they went to sleep and they're gonna watch it tomorrow. So.
Nice. Okay, there we go. Is that working better?
Yeah, yeah. No,
Sorry about that.
it's back on track. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so what was it? What was the next question?
So the next question was like, because you actually started at 16 years old. I wanted to ask you, how was your childhood? If you have like a lot of memories, did you enjoy it, your childhood, or was everything about sports?
Yeah, so I would say that um, earlier on, up until 16, I think I played some sports recreational,
Yeah.
but no, you know what? It was mostly just through school. I would
Hmm.
say, like generally, I started like in volleyball in Canada. It doesn't really start, at least for men, until or boys until maybe there could be rare places in Toronto that are U14. So, but that I don't even know if that was available at my time.
Yeah.
So usually, like, but in Europe, I started really late. There's lots of people that are dedicated that go to dedicated volleyball sport schools, and and are starting the sport much earlier than I was. So yeah, that was another thing. I kind of had to play catch up. I felt like I
Yeah.
had to play catch up the whole my whole career because I started late by comparison to the rest of the world. But no, I would about my family. So I lived in a separated household. So my parents divorced when I was a younger age, and
Oh, I'm
and
sorry.
oh, no, it's okay. I turned out great. It was awesome.
Yeah.
So and I still have
Yeah. You have 2 houses. Yeah.
I still have, yeah, exactly, 2 Christmases. I took advantage of it, and I had no, I have a wonderful relationship with both my parents. But
Yeah.
so
That's good.
my father remarried and had three sisters, my three half sisters, and then my mother remarried and had my one half sister and then three half brothers as well. So I grew up in a household with two households with seven brothers and sisters, and so basically my childhood was just I never wanted to be home. because it was
Yeah.
always loud and there was always kids running around. And so I just spent my time with my buddy Cody, and we were playing video games at his place whenever we could, or out on our bikes blasting around downtown. So yeah, you asked me if I enjoyed my childhood. Absolutely, I did. It
Yeah.
was, but it was, I would say, it was not sport oriented really at all. It was, I played sports at school. I did extracurriculars like that, but like, prior to that, like I sang in a choir for 4 years. I was a
Oh,
Boy
nice.
Scout for 4 years. It's like not really sport oriented. I did lots of different things. Like I had my hand in everything when I was younger.
Yeah. Because actually, it's kind of like my story. It's almost like something my parents put me in a whole bunch of other things, but they didn't send me to sports because they thought maybe I'm talented at something. I'm going to give up school, because I told you
Hmm.
my roots of
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah. So they were afraid because in Romania they said, "What if he has talent in something?" So I also I don't know if I have a good voice anymore, but I was at a chorus for like a little bit. Then I play basketball. Then I play the violin and a whole bunch of
Oh
other
wow,
stuff.
cool.
And then the
Very
guitar,
nice.
I was trying to do it because of my dad. Because every time when we had like a birthday or something, all the girls were gathering around my dad. So I said, now I have to learn to play guitar.
Nice, nice.
But
Yeah, yeah.
I was unlucky because the second I joined one of the places, the teacher like left in 3 months. So
Oh really? Oh,
after
that's too
that,
bad.
I didn't have any more like uh,
Opportunity to learn.
opportunities, and I just give it up. So
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
good.
I also wanted to ask you because you said you play other sports, but like in general, what are your other favorite sports? And in time, since you're a little kid up until now, what are some sports people that you admired uh, from the shadow? I could say I'm not gonna use the word idol because I agree with some of my guests because sometimes you admire somebody from one point of view, but then when you start to search them you might gonna realize that he's like different kind
Yeah.
of person. Not to say
The
bad word.
idea of never meet
So
your heroes
yeah,
kind of thing. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
not gonna use the word idol. I'm just gonna say
Yeah.
your favorite sports people in general, not just volleyball and not just in Canada, like all over the
Mhm.
world.
So the three brothers that I mentioned on my mom's side, they all play basketball.
Oh,
So
nice.
they all grew up playing basketball. Yeah, their father, my stepfather, was big into basketball, and again, I didn't have a passion for the sport, but now that I returned home and I'm closer to my brothers,
Yeah,
I have really loved the idea of playing basketball. So
yeah,
the things that I love about it too is that it's a sport that's much more accessible than volleyball. Much like a soccer, like all
yeah,
you really need is a ball, and
yeah,
you can do things, right? Volleyball, not really. You need a lot of equipment, you need a big gym, and it's just hard to, and you need people, you need bodies, and
yeah,
maybe beach volleyball is a little bit easier, but still then you need to find a beach court, you need to find net, you need to have four people at least. And so I've just really enjoyed shooting basketballs right now, just on my own kind of thing, and learning a
yeah.
few skills. And actually, I just arranged, I just got back home to Canada, and so my brothers play in university, and my eldest, but the eldest of the brothers, they're all still younger than me. Um, he just graduated from Colgate University
Oh,
in Hamilton.
yeah.
So he just finished playing NCAA Division One basketball, and so I'm excited to come home and play one on one with him, basically, and whoop his
Nice.
butt. But no, it's probably going to go the other way around. Um, so yeah, I'm excited to learn a new sport,
If I'm
and
ever gonna meet you, I would like enjoy to play because I know basketball myself. I'm not like Ray Allen or Steve Curry, but
yeah,
sometimes if I'm in a run and I score one, then
yeah,
I
you
could
get
score like a
hot.
bunch of them in a row. Boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You get hot, right? You just
Yeah,
find
yeah,
that rhythm. You find that rhythm, and you
yeah,
just feed it through. Yeah. So I'm excited to kind of to pursue a different sport, and that was another thing. Like once you do something for so long, like you kind of lose some motivation as well because there's less opportunity to grow in it, right?
Yeah.
And so it's exciting again to place. Of course, I want to continue playing sport, and my body's really healthy too, which is I'm
Yeah.
going to say is a fortunate thing to retire with. Um, and yeah, so to pursue a new sport and to grow in something, the new sport is what I'm really excited for. My idols, so I've never like I said earlier when I was growing up, I didn't
Mhm.
have I wasn't really sports oriented. But my idol when I was younger was there was I really liked martial arts movies and things like
Oh,
that. And Bruce Lee
yeah.
was that. I didn't have any basketball players, but or volleyball players, soccer, football,
Yeah.
any players. I had a poster of Bruce Lee
Yeah.
in
Right.
in my room.
You,
Um,
I'm in the same way as you. Like nobody would convince me ever there's anybody better than Bruce Lee. Nobody.
Yeah, so there was like, I grew up watching his movies and watching his interviews and actually that's the other thing. So outside of basketball, I haven't been able to um find a place yet, but to pursue a martial art would be another thing that
Wow. Yeah.
something on
Yeah.
my bucket list.
Right.
To
Right.
do jujitsu, I think would be really interesting, and the excitement of that is that it's an individual sport.
Right.
Once right. So again, growth in something completely different is what's inspiring me right now. But yeah, Bruce Lee for sure because yeah, he was just a master of his craft,
Yeah.
and he's portrayed in a a wonderful light in his movies and things like that, and yeah, just what's not to love about him?
And
So
he could like break a lot of physical rules
oh
because
yeah,
with
the
the no with
endurance,
the punch
yeah.
he could drop an elephant with his punch.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. No, look, I've seen the videos of him standing there with his fist against
Yeah.
somebody's chest and shooting him in a chair, 10
Right.
meters away kind of thing, right? So it's yeah, so he was a very cool person and a person that was also full of wisdom. So it was
Right.
easy to admire him when I was
Because
younger.
he was never violent. Always he when he was talking about karate, he was saying first you have to defense. He was
Yeah,
never go after the person.
that's right. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's very
Um,
cool.
Also speaking about the habits and stuff, like did you ever in your career or like in your personal life, did you have not let's say um, uh, uh, habits or superstitions like that you had like on the week or on the day or 1 hour before the game or stuff that you do? Let's say you playing some you have like a specific playlist where you're taking stuff in your bag or
Okay. Yeah. So do I have any like match or game day routines?
yeah.
Yeah. So the biggest thing was, uh, yeah, yeah. I wouldn't say that I had any superstition whatsoever.
Mhm.
I wasn't just, I wasn't wearing the same unwashed socks for, every championship or something like that, or tying my shoes a specific way, or going the extreme of the baseball and doing all the touches before we hit the ball.
Yeah.
But no, but I did have a very dialed in routine. It's like it's came down to, I would say, the most important of my routines was I always like to nap. I always like to sleep right before my trainings and my game and my matches. I found that my body personally responded to sleep in terms of recovery and rest, like just the best. Um, and oh yeah, what else? I think maybe the strangest thing that I did that nobody else does, that's very specific to my sport. At least the reason behind it is I had a very specific type of warming cream. Okay, this
Oh.
is this is something this is something that nobody really knows. I found it in the Czech Republic,
Mhm.
and it's a type of cream that just keeps your body hot, right? And I cover my legs in that
Oh.
before I go out on the court, and so they're on fire. So whenever
Oh.
you see me on the court, there my legs are torched. But but I like it that way because and specifically to my position, and I don't know if there's much like this in any other sport, but I'm on this. I'm only on the court for half of the rotations, all the rotations at the front of the net, and then once I get to the back row, I rotate out after my serve, and so I spend a lot of time in and off the court. I'm
Yeah.
on hot and cold, or hot, and then I come off and I'm cold, and so I found this very specific type of cream that kept me warm throughout the whole game, and then I always wore these very specific Mizuno knee pads. It was kind of like almost like how like ballerinas, they have
Oh,
like
yeah, yeah.
the socks, the
Yeah,
high
yeah, yeah.
socks. Yeah, exactly. That was the purpose of them. I had they weren't like knee pads for diving or anything like that, like everybody else wears.
Yeah.
Mine were knee warmers. They were like blankets on my knees just to keep me warm, kind of thing.
Oh, nice.
So I think that's probably the most unique thing that I would do every single practice, every single game
Yeah.
as a routine.
And also speaking about the position, because you mentioned it, um, which position in volleyball do you think is the hardest to play? And were you ever tempted to try like another position, the one that you play, or did you ever play other positions before the get into professional?
Yeah. Okay. So because I was this huge, big, um, uncoordinated, 16-year-old,
Yeah.
naturally, and volleyball is a very technical sport.
Yeah.
So just naturally, like, okay, how do I get use out of this big, tall, gangly, lumbering baby deer? I said it
Yeah.
earlier, and you put him as a blocker. So as of course the coaches has put in, okay, how can I use him? Oh well, I'll just get him at the net and move him around. He doesn't even need to touch the ball really. You can just block the ball.
Yeah.
And so that's how I became a blocker. I didn't even really get to choose because I was just kind of naturally pushed into it. If I was to do it all over again, I would 100% be a receiver.
Yeah.
Because I get to set in some situations. I get to pass, I get to block, you do everything. You do everything as a receiver. You are the foundation of the team, I think. And yeah, it's funny because I'm very excited to pursue beach volleyball. It's something I've never done, and I think I should have done more of it over the summers. If I was to kind of rethink my path and redo things, I would play more beach volleyball because um, just middle blocking is it's so specific. It's very, it's like American football, for example.
Mhm.
Um, you know, it's imagine being you play American football, but you're the kicker.
Ah,
Do you really, do you are you a football player or are you just a kicker? You
yeah.
know what I mean? It's so specialized, and so I kind of feel like, yeah, I had the middle blocker version of volleyball. I never played volleyball, but I had the middle blocker version of volleyball. So I'm excited to play beach to learn the new skills, right? Like I talked about, the growth is the most fulfilling part of any sport, in my opinion. So I'm excited to learn how to receive, how to set, and to hit and to have that the outside net offensive options as well. So
Right.
yeah. So I think yeah, if I was to go back and do it all over again, I would change my position completely. Yeah. And
Yeah.
and I would probably recommend anybody else. I would say, if you can play the sport and you'd want to enjoy the sport to the best of its ability, I would play something that's as least specialized as possible. And I think that goes
Right.
for every sport in general,
Right.
because that's the truest form of that sport.
Yeah.
So
As
yeah.
a coincidence, like, because I don't know if people know, like a few years ago, one of the New England Patriots kicker used to play soccer for Steaua.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
But he
Yeah,
was
that's
like,
funny
he
though.
wasn't the main one. He was kind of like second or third over
Hmm.
there. But when everybody say, hey, there's a Romanian guy in this team. And when I looked it up, I say, I know this guy. He used to play for my club.
Very cool. Very,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Small world.
Yeah, small world.
Small world.
And speaking about small world, and you didn't have a chance, maybe like to speak or to learn a lot of Romanian language in this period of time. And I was gonna ask you, like, because you stay like a few years in Czech Republic, and you also stay in France. Through all of your experience, which language do you think was the hardest to learn?
Okay. You know, that's another thing, kind of, if I was to go back and tell myself again,
Mhm.
I would definitely tell myself, man, Mark, you should spend more time with the language. But it's a tricky situation because you just never know how long you're going to be spending in one country. If you were to go back and tell me that, Mark, you're going to spend, because you typically sign 1 year contracts, but sometimes it's two.
Uh-huh.
Um, but so you really don't know. You don't know how long you're going to be in a specific country for. And so, yeah, like I was saying, if I was to go back and say, Mark, you're going to be spending 4 years in the Czech Republic,
Yeah.
uh, man, I would have put more effort into it, and I should have put more effort into it. But it's the idea that, since practices and most of my teammates speak English, I don't feel the pressure to have to learn. I'm not
Right.
I'm not forced into it. I'm not forced into the immersion of the language. And so yeah, that was quite challenging. But you asked me what was the most difficult language. So
Yeah.
French was the easiest for sure, because we learn French in Canada.
Yeah.
It's our second language study. So I had
Well,
a
then
I had
Romania
a
should be easy too, because Romania is like French, English, Portuguese,
exactly, yeah.
Italian. They're all
Mhm.
any languages.
For sure, for sure. So that was the it was refreshing to come back to a Latin language. There
Yeah.
was, since I knew a little bit of French, there was some language, some words that I could pick out and understand and relate to. But man, the Czech was hard. Czech
Yeah.
was very challenging, and I just think Slavic languages are a little bit more challenging in general.
Because it's
Um,
a different alphabet. Yeah.
it's a different alphabet. It's a different
Yeah.
alphabet, but too, I find that Latin languages, there's highs and lows.
Oh.
I always think of just like like Italians maybe do it the best, right? Like, they're very, very, colorful in their language and speaking. So even if you don't know the language, you can still sense the emotion,
Yeah.
the passion or something like that. Whereas I found that, in Czech Republic, and I think this is in it could be associated with German too, but
Yeah.
it was a little bit more kind of monotoned. It was a little, there was less of these, like, Mamma Mia's kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
So sometimes it was challenging to kind of pick out the emotion, or if somebody was angry or happy, it was all kind of just blended together for me. So that was kind of difficult, because I didn't really learn much of Czech, and
Yeah.
I wish I learned more. So really sensing the emotion and the tone to the sentence and the language is a big part of including yourself in the environment when you don't speak the language. So that was the biggest challenge. I think just Czech and Slavic languages are much more challenging than Latin ones.
Right.
Yeah.
And now, just I want to, not because I want to point to something, but from each country, like France, Czech Republic, and also in Romania and Bucharest, uh, what was like one of the things that actually bothered you after the experience, and what was one of the things that actually you liked it?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, like, a good and a bad,
Yeah.
of just my whole experience. Okay. So definitely, I think I noticed, I said, like, the charm, or the flair of being
Mhm.
a professional athlete, is that, oh, I got to go travel around and things like that.
Yeah.
And there was good and bad to both of that. Like, of course, I'm away from my country, my family, but I'm pursuing a passion and of something that I love. And so there's always give and take with everything. Um, but yeah, okay. Here, sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. Give me a
Oh,
moment.
no problem. No
Yeah.
problem.
Um, Yeah, I think it was just generally yeah, that's pretty much it. It was the uh, pursuit. I I guess I kind of think like I always think come back to like, man, what would my life be like if I had a professional team in Canada?
Yeah,
Like if I never left Canada. So
yeah,
although I've missed many years of spending time in my own country and things like that, I also found advantages to it because you learn so many new experiences. I've met so many different people. Um, seen so many different things, and you kind of come back and return for that knowledge. And but man, I'm excited for to have a Christmas again. Like
yeah.
I was remembering I called my dad recently. Just it was last month, and when I kind of finalized that, yeah, no, I won't be returning. um, I was just thinking, damn, you know what, Dad? We get to have a Christmas. We haven't had a
Right.
Christmas in 7 years. I haven't seen my so just because the playing schedule, it's like, we only get like 2 or 3 days off in Christmas. So even the idea to fly home isn't possible at all. It's just not. It's too expensive, and the time constraint just makes it impossible. And so, yeah, I'm excited to have a Thanksgiving. I'm excited to celebrate my birthday with my family. I'm excited to have Christmas. So, those are all the things that you kind of give up,
Right.
and
Right.
yeah, over the experience. So
Yeah. Well,
that's
also as an extension to this question, kind of like through your whole journey, or through your whole life, like what was, because sometimes when you're a sports person, you cannot really enjoy when you're going somewhere. So you might
yeah,
have to
yeah. Oh,
visit.
that's what it was. Thank you. You brought me back. I lost my
Ah,
train of thought there, and that was the other thing. Yeah, yeah,
ah,
yeah. So you get this idea of like, oh, you get to travel all over this place, but you know what? You see a lot of hotel rooms and
yeah,
buses. That's just the realistic. Like we traveled to in this actually in with Steaua, I was probably um yeah, I think I had some of the most fortunate experiences with Steaua with when we were in the Challenge Cup.
yeah.
Because we had the opportunity to we got to go to Finland this year. We were in Greece against Olympiacos, and
Olympiacos, yeah,
yeah, and so like for example, the when we traveled to Greece, it was like I think it was a 3 day trip or a 4 day trip. Arrival, train, game, and then departure.
yeah,
And and so you think, oh, you get to spend 4 days in Greece, but like we had a 2 hour window. I looked at our schedule and we had a 2 hour window where it was like free, like nothing was planned, and I was just like, oh, I'm gonna get in a taxi and I'm gonna drive up because we were
yeah,
in Athens at this point, and I'm gonna go see the Parthenon,
yeah,
and
yeah,
and we did, and the whole team came. And it was awesome, and but those experience, you would think that there would be like, oh, like of course you're with the team, like you'll have like you're there, like you'll go see
yeah,
something, but it's not
yeah.
organized. It's never organized.
Right,
You're there to work. You're not there to vacation, right?
right,
And so many people associate travel with vacation that it's hard to kind of understand that no, 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 no. Like I'm going there to work, and my work includes going into a sport hall, um, traveling on a bus, and staying and recovering in a hotel room.
right. Yeah,
That's the job. That's the
yeah,
job, right?
right,
So
right.
so you really get these. You think it can be this like glamorous thing, but it's not really as glamorous as you think it is. So
Right.
yeah.
And also now, because you retired, and you could do a lot of your stuff in your bucket list. What is it? One place that you wanted to visit, like in the near future, and you have in your list there still.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got you. So the I had a rare experience to be able to travel to Japan with the national team last summer with the when I was playing in the VNL, and I have that was a place that really resonated with me. Um, I think there are their country is known for its craftsmen, and I really like to do a lot of hobbies, and that's another thing that I'm excited to pursue in my retirement and things like that. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, it was just I don't know if you've ever been to a place that just kind of resonates with your soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. I've
Yeah.
been
Okay.
into some of the cruises, like in Grand Cayman Island.
Okay, so there you go, right? And so when I was there, I was in Osaka for 2 days, and well, we were there for a week. But again, the only vacation opportunity. That's why I said it was rare.
Yeah.
It was rare. It was rare. The 2 days that I got to go and see some things and experience the country. Yeah, they were just. There's something magical about that place that I would really like to kind of explore more. And since I've spent so much time in Europe, I've crossed a lot of those, ticked a lot of those boxes off, and Asia intrigues me for sure, but
Wow.
specifically Japan. I think
Yeah.
that the second one would be probably New Zealand,
Oh,
and
yeah.
to go see the land where Lord of the Rings was shot or something like that. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah. But
Yeah. And
yeah, so
it's
I think
like,
those two
yeah, in New
places.
Zealand, it's one of the most developed like country in the world. It's much better than Australia and much better than a lot of country in this world. And even
It's
though it's
it's
that small, yeah, the quality of living in there it's much higher than a lot of places.
a beautiful place of the world as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I have like whole kinds of questions in here, but because of your answers, sometimes I'm not putting them in order. So sometimes I might gonna ask you something that I was supposed to ask you at the beginning.
That's okay.
Uh,
No worries.
so I wanted to ask you if it matters if you're a righty or if you're a lefty. If it's more unexpected if you're one or the other.
Yeah. So I would say typically, well, left-handed players are more rare. Obviously, I think left-handed is just generally more rare in all sports. But yeah, there's some value to it for sure. You have to kind of prepare just because of the way the different angles
Yeah.
that you can hit across your body and things like that, and based on which side of the court you're on, those change. And so, since most people are prepared for right-handed players, when you put a left-handed player on either side of the net, but more commonly they're attacking from the right-handed position or the right side of the net, if they're left-handed.
I'm sorry, I was catching up with you. I didn't even look that. Actually, we have like some comments here in the chat.
Oh yeah,
There's
very
people
cool.
that said hello, Mark, and
Oh,
then it's asking if really live. Yeah, it's live.
it's it's
And
it's
then
really live,
I,
Zoban
I
79,
I didn't know if this is a
Zob
Romanian
79.
person, but after that he says, "Good luck in Romania." Said Noroc, Mark. Oh no, he said my name. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
So
cool.
it's a
Well,
Romanian
I'm glad.
person. Because first I thought
Nice.
maybe it would be like somebody that not even. Sometimes I have people that are watching that not Romanian because if I have interviews in English, I have some people that I might gonna watch. But now if you
Right.
wrote something in Romania, I didn't even look at it. And now I looked it up. I said 3 comments. Oh wait a minute.
Cool.
I
Cool.
thought there's
Nice. Well,
nobody left. I'm
yeah.
sorry I cut you off.
Oh, no. It's all good. Remind me, what was your question there? It was.
About the left and the righty.
Oh yeah. Yes, yeah. So for sure, I would say that it's a great value if you are left-handed. I think you become you can be used in some tactical ways that will give you an advantage because a lot of people aren't prepared to defend against a left-handed person because it's a
Yeah.
little bit more different. So you have less experience playing against them.
The
Yeah.
person is asking me if he could ask you a question. Yeah, of course you can ask Mark
Sure.
a question. Just put it in here, and I'm gonna put it on the screen. If he could see it, okay. If he cannot see it, I'm gonna read it for him. But hopefully you could see it. So yeah, you
Sure.
could ask him anything. Yeah, just
Yeah.
ask him. Um, also, like I said at the beginning, most of your career, or maybe the whole career, you play with number 12, which I'm
hmm
thinking you picked it up because of your birthday, right?
Man, you're smart. Yeah,
And
of
then,
course. Yeah.
at the national team, you play with 15, and you play with 15 because you couldn't pick up 12, or it was another reason.
No, that was it. That was it. So there was only one other instance that was kind of funny where I didn't end up playing with 12, and that was with my first Czech Republic experience where I played for a team called Ústí 11. And
Oh,
so
11. Okay.
yeah, and they're a very small city. They're just north of Prague,
Yeah.
and so I had the opportunity to play in 12. But the jersey size arrived. I think it was like a large, and normally I'm in European sizes. I'm like a double XL,
Yeah.
and so it was quite tight. And I was very disappointed at the time when the sizing got wrong. But 6 was in a double XL, so I played in number 6, and I was at peace with that because I was thinking, okay, that's half of 12. Okay,
Yeah.
sure, I'll play in the 6. But his name is Lucas Van Berkel. He's another middle blocker, and he took 12. And he's a very decorated player with the team. So it's the numbers always come down to like a seniority thing, and so he had seniority. And quite frankly, I was just happy to be on the team. I did not care what number was on the front of my. I was just happy that my name was on the back of the jersey.
Right.
That was the most important part to me.
Okay, so the person he must have not watched us from the beginning, but anyway, we talked about this more in private, so maybe he doesn't know. So he's asking, can you see the question? Or
Yeah.
you want me to read it?
How would you rate the team's performance this season, and what do you think went
Oh
wrong?
no! Wait a minute! Wait a minute! I'm sorry. This is his second question.
Oh.
He wrote it like fast. This is his first one.
Yeah. Hi, Mark, and congrats on the great season. What are your plans for next season? Yeah. So I'm actually have decided to retire from the sport of volleyball. I'm going to pursue coaching at a university here in Kingston, Ontario, in Canada. It was the volleyball jobs are very rare in Canada, so there's few opportunities to stay in sport, and since I have a little girl, an 8-month old, and it was time to think about growing roots and settle in Canada. So since I had a job opportunity that would take care of my family and give them an opportunity to grow at home, that was something I just couldn't pass up. So that was what led me to retire. So Steaua was my first and last season.
Right. And what about the second question?
Yeah, how would you rate the team's performance this season, and what do you think went wrong in the finals? Yeah. Okay. So, I think the performance was great overall in the season. It was. I don't think you can argue that it wasn't a step in the right direction. And it's not like you don't win titles every year, and it's God damn, it's frustrating. We were so damn close. But
because you actually beat them in the regular season.
Yeah. So I actually just watched an interview. It was Janals from the Bucks, and he said there's no failure in sports. There's only steps to success. Right. And I think this season was a real indication of that. We won the regular season, and we won a silver medal. That's pretty good, I think.
Right.
Of course, it's not the direction that we would have wanted, but I it's important to recognize where we did succeed. So what was the challenge in the finals? So you know what? I think tactically they won the chess match. I think that there was opportunities where, I don't think that it was an individual performance that you could put blame on by any means. They played really well, like their profile in defense. We have a couple, like for example, we have a couple players that are really cross-court oriented, and you have big middle blockers. That's difficult, right? Like that's a difficult shot to hit. So I kind of feel like if I was to give you a short answer to it, they countered our strengths well, and then when we had an opportunity to adjust, it was back and forth.
Right.
So yeah, and then the last thing that kind of ties into both my answers there was that I think what was most valuable about this experience is now you have returning players coming back to Steaua and they have finals experience.
Right.
And so I've heard too of the different players that they're coming in. I'm not going to say any names or anything like that, but you have more players coming in with finals and championship experience. So exactly. So now you have players that are hungry, that have tasted, that have been so close to that win. And so mentally they're going to be even stronger. And that was another thing. I think maybe what tipped the difference was Galati is a very seasoned and experienced team in those situations.
Right.
And they have the fun. And so that was definitely an advantage to them. I think maybe they were mentally stronger than us.
Mm-hmm.
No, I would say they were mentally stronger than us as an overall. So they countered us well in the chess match, and they had very seasoned experience by comparison to us.
Right, because they win like so many championships in the last few years. Maybe that give them like a lot of strengths too. So
yeah, exactly. And so now this year you saw some new players come in, like me. You have a new head coach, which is a dramatic change to your team, and you saw progress, right? So it's only natural to think that our head coach is probably going to bring in some new players that are going to fill my shoes, hopefully perform even better than I did, and that's going to take the title, right? It was a step to the
like you said. I hope they're hungry, because we're hungry for so many years.
I know. I was in a press interview that they were just like, do you think one of the questions was, do you think it's time for Steaua? And I said, I've only been here for one season, and I know it's time. I said, I want to win it for myself, but I wanted to win it from my Romanian teammates more so than anything else, because it's been too damn long for you guys.
Also,
I hope that answers your question.
Because he said here, like, good luck, and he's sure you're going to do fine.
Thank you.
And he also thank you for your answer. And now there's more people watching it. Somebody else also said like a very good interview.
Okay, cool.
And also he's thanking you for everything that you do for Steaua.
Oh, well, I really appreciate that. That's it was such a wonderful experience, and I'm really happy to be a part of it.
Somebody is telling me that I'm doing a good job in Romania.
Good. All right. Well, then hit me with your next question, man. Let's keep this thing going.
Right. He kind of like get me out of the track when there's comments, and I didn't expect it. We must like wake up people from their sleep,
Yeah, definitely.
Also, I want to ask you now, from all of your, not just say like trophy as a title, maybe when you win like the man of the match, or the player of the month, or something like that, from all your experience and all of your titles, not just a title with the team. What was the one that you think was the hardest to get?
Okay. So out of those experiences or those awards, what was the
all the awards in general, not just titles.
Yeah. So just give me a sec. Let me kind of think back of what was the hardest one.
No, that you feel was the hardest, because maybe you put like 200%, and it was harder to take it from the other one that outside you might think it was hardest, but for you it was a different one,
So in terms of like individual awards or accolades, like you made mention to like man of the match or best middle blocker of the season or something like that, so I don't really have many of those, and I have a few where I was selected as like most valuable players. I have them in some parts of my career, but it's for those individual accolades, especially the match ones in particular. For a middle blocker, it's very challenging to get them because we are overall support position. We help others succeed in different things. We're Yeah, I would say that's I'm jumping with the ball, but I'm not going to get set every time. But maybe I'm putting pressure on the other middle blocker, and so my outside player gets a one-on-one block or something like this. Like there's a lot of we're a support player, and so what does that mean too? Is like statistically on paper,
Mhm.
we're not going to score 30 points,
Right.
right? So it's like a lot of the time, you see your MVPs are your outsides or your opposites,
Hmm.
and naturally because they're point scorers of the game, right?
Yeah.
So from that perspective, I've always just kind of thought I wish statistically you could see my impact on the game on paper, so that
Yeah.
it's not just points. So
Right.
so that was the kind of the challenge of that. But I would have to say that the most impactful one that I
Yeah.
had was all the way back, when I played for my club team, the Waterloo Tigers, because I showed up again late to the season. Nobody really knew who I was,
Yeah.
because I had shown up. I was older, and in at the end of that season, and I still have the award, the T-shirt that I got, because I was awarded as a first team All Star
Yeah.
in out of the whole tournament. And it was
Hmm.
a very rare situation because a lot of the time those awards were decided prior to even prior to the tournament based on the whole season. But I hadn't even been a part of the whole season, so it was rare for me to even get selected for this.
Yeah.
And because I was an all-star, I got put on the provincial team. And then remember the provincial team, I met Dan Lewis, and then I understood about pro volleyball, and then that catapult. So if I was to think about like one award that really transitioned and changed my entire career, my life, it would be my all-star at the club level when I was much
Yeah.
younger, when I was 17. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And now I don't want to put you in a bad spot, and you might gonna
No, it's
answer
okay.
different, yeah, if your wife is watching you, or you're gonna answer different if your friends are watching you. Because what was more excited for you, when you won the title or when you were looking for the ring?
Oh. Oh, 100%. So that's interesting. Okay, so I'm not going to answer yet. I'm going to set the stage for the answer. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So I had never won any kind of championship until my second year with Carlovasco, and so
Yeah.
this was just the year after we were set up. In 2019, or it was, sorry, 2020. Sorry, I kind of get my years mixed
Oh,
up.
you
Yeah.
got a title in 2021, and you said
Yes.
in
Yes.
2020 was because of the COVID.
Yeah. So in 2020 there was, yeah. So we were crowned, like we were called championship
Yeah.
champions, but it was the league ended because of COVID,
Yeah.
and so we were set up to do to win. But prior to that, like in Ustina 11, I didn't win. In France we were eliminated in semis and in quarterfinals,
Yeah.
and then in all my university career, we even just struggled to make playoffs. Like, so I had never really come from like winning teams by any means, and so was really hungry at that point. Um, and so to win, I won that championship, so I got that gold medal, and I got married,
Yeah.
like a few months later.
Right. Right.
So the whole year, that was just like, it was such an incredible experience. It was just like and it was kind of almost strange in a sense too, because the world was in a really like devastated place, right?
Yeah.
But I had, yeah, it's kind of hard to say that, oh man, that's one of the I have so many good memories in that time
Yeah.
period, because it was a very challenging time for a lot of people. But gosh, um, you know what? So my answer is, sport doesn't last forever, but my relationship with my wife will. So
Yeah.
there's your winner.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of the opposite what I told you before we started.
Yeah. Yeah,
No, but
exactly.
that's
Exactly. Exactly.
no, no,
Exactly.
but
Exactly.
that's different because I'm not a sports person.
Yeah.
My answer is like a fan. That's why it's
Yeah.
different. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Definitely.
Now talking about the toughness and stuff. Uh, what was your toughest opponent as an individual through your career, and also as a team that you faced?
Yeah. Okay. Toughest opponent as a in general.
Yeah, maybe somebody that you faced like multiple times, and or
Yeah. No, you're talking about opponent specifically, like a specific player, or are you talking about a team as well?
well, like I said, both either individual and as a team.
Mm, mm. Yeah. Okay. Give me 20 seconds again here.
Yeah, no, no problem.
Going through all my memories to try to think
Yeah.
of who was actually the most challenging.
Well,
I remember.
well, you could mention more than one if you think
Yeah.
that's the case.
So yeah, the most challenging. Oh man, you know what? I don't know what it was in the scenario, but it was in the finals against Prague 2 years ago, and it was against another middle blocker, Nadalkovic, and I had I would say good performances against him, like managing him throughout the league. But man, I could not just every which way that I tried to block him, he would hit around me in that final, and it
Yeah,
was just like it's like one of those times where he was just on, and
right,
it was just really hard to stop him, kind of thing,
right.
and it's yeah, it was the battle was like, okay, we can't stop each other, so it's like how many points can you score? It was
Yeah,
just yeah, it was just it was a good battle, and I always find that was like, and that was such a like a clutch pinnacle moment a lot of the time in that series, and so I would say that was like from an opponent that I can
yeah.
see, and he's a very good player. He plays for the Serbian national team last summer, like he played in the VMNL as well, and he plays for Friedrichshafen now
Mhm.
in Germany. So like a very
Yeah,
distinguished club. Yeah, he's a very good player.
right,
So yeah, so I think out of like an individual experience, that would be the most challenging thing.
right.
For um, in terms of a team,
If
uh,
you ask me, I would say Olympiacos because they actually win the trophy.
yeah, but it's like I'm more thinking like
Well, I'm sorry
like
because
because
you have
they
Champions League experience.
oh
It might
yeah,
be
yeah.
those. Yeah,
Yeah, but it's like, but remember those experiences like yeah, like I'm more thinking like when we played Trentino, like it was like it wasn't
yeah,
I mean, I don't want to say a slaughter. There was, we took sets off them, but um but it wasn't just this like really point for point kind of battle, right?
yeah,
And so I think like I mentioned, and I think the most challenging and rewarding experience that I've had was the regular season match against Dynamo.
oh,
I Yeah,
nice.
I think I think because it was so close, right? Like there
Right.
was there were so many gut wrenching moments in that match where
Yeah,
it started. I remember how it started. It was we were down. It was 24-21, and I went back and I got to serve. I served 3 times. I scored an ace. I had a dig in that rally, and then it was I came off the court and it was tied, and that's how the match started.
yeah.
And like so for me, like personally, I felt like I had an amazing performance in an environment that was incredibly stressful and intense, and plus it was against the club's like true rival.
Rival.
That's
Yeah,
that Yeah, so there was just like a very romantic experience in that sense. So I think that would be and we won 15-13 in the final set. So it was very
Right.
challenging. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that would be it.
Uh, After you like heard and you also like faced them, like our rivals Dynamo, and what people from around the team told you, how you consider this rivalry compared with other famous rivalry like Benfica Porto, Real Barcelona, or Olympiacos Panathinaikos, or I don't know what to say, or
Uh,
Partizan against Red Star from Croatia,
so
Serbia,
so
Serbia.
so nothing that I've experienced compares. Like
Yeah,
this is like, yeah, you guys are I remember I remember in the first week that I arrived
yeah,
in Bucharest, I was thinking about, I had to prepare like my apartment for the arrival of my family and my daughter, right? And so
yeah.
I was driving to IKEA. So that's
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah,
was going to IKEA, and
yeah,
I got in the taxi, the Uber, and so this guy started talking to me and said, because I think I don't really look Romanian
yeah,
whatsoever, and I was speaking English to him, and he was asking me how are you, and and he was just and I told him about, oh yeah, I play for Steaua, and he was a Steaua fan, and he was
That's
just like,
good. That's
yeah,
good.
and it was hilarious in that moment, because he didn't go on about like how passionate he is about Steaua,
Yeah, it's not
maybe
like me.
yeah,
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 not
you
everybody's like me.
yeah, you started the conversation being like, look, like I am Steaua. I am Steaua. And
Yeah,
he was more like, I love Steaua,
yeah.
but I can hate Dynamo way
Right, right.
more.
Yeah,
It was like he was telling me
yeah,
about how much I hated the club. It
yeah,
was
yeah.
just like yeah. Right there, I knew it was, it was real yeah, that I understood the rivalry very clearly early on, and
Yeah.
so and it was the only sense where um yeah, yeah, I think it's just why I say I've never experienced a rivalry like that, is that it's just that you guys are just so passionate
Right.
about your club, right? So
And
it's just,
I'm very happy you had this good impression about it,
yeah.
especially that I wasn't even over there.
Yeah, yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Right.
because
So
otherwise
yeah,
I would come in the stand and try to face one of the rivals' fans and stuff. That's what we usually do before and after the game.
yeah.
Uh,
So
yeah, speaking about, because it's more like about passion between our. Sometimes we take it to the extreme and it's not good. And like I wanted to tell you, two of my five best friends, they're actually Dynamo fans, but because they respect me too much, when Steaua is playing against Dynamo, they said that it's normal for Steaua to win. So I don't know if they are so much of a Dynamo fans.
right, yeah, yeah, exactly.
Uh, Going to the next question, I want to ask you yeah, if you had many major injuries in your career.
Wow. Okay. So I was, like I said, the only thing I've really ever broken was this thumb.
Yeah,
But I've been very, I consider myself lucky.
yeah,
Like I said, I'm 31, turning 32 in October. Um, and no, I would say, like, I broke another small bone in my ankle, and I've had like every kind of like chronic injury you can have, chronic pain with my knees, but that's like pretty typical with volleyball, and I learned how to deal with them, and through strength training and through flexibility and things like that.
yeah,
But I've never had any major surgeries or anything like that. I've been very fortunate. We talked about like what it's like to, the risks and impacts of a
yeah.
ball hitting you in the face or something like that. I did have one strain incident this year in Steaua,
Hmm.
um, where I took a ball off the side of my face, and my eye was quite open. It grazed my eye,
Oh,
and I actually I lost vision in the lower half of my left eye, and that was quite shocking. But it came back after a couple of days, so I was
yeah,
quite fine. But that's really the only thing. Like I don't have yeah, no major injuries. Been very
yeah.
lucky.
Talking about now about city that sucks you up, like they used to call like New York. When if you're not ready, you grew up in a small town, and then in Czech Republic, we're in a small town too. In
Yeah.
Bucharest, it's kind of like a New York. It's like a, totally different. And I don't know if you know, I'm also proud because the new, also because of the Latin origins. After the World War II, for like a decade or two, Bucharest used to be called Little Paris because there's so many similarities, and especially in the old town and a couple of major streets over there, we have like some similarities with Paris. So they used to call us Little Paris. So did you feel that Bucharest was like sucking you? Like sometimes people go in New York and they say, "Hey, like I could only visit this town. I cannot live in it."
So yeah, so the reason I was curious about living in a large city was to experience the energy. And I have friends that live in Toronto, like I
Yeah,
said, the similar size to Bucharest, and some people, they just swear by it. They like the buzz, the chaos, the yeah, within the city. And so that was what I was, excited to experience.
yeah,
And I certainly experienced. I would say, like, the city life in Bucharest, it's chaotic, right? Like
yeah.
like seeing the traffic, and like I didn't own a car in Bucharest, and I'm very happy I didn't want,
Right,
I don't want one. Don't want one.
right.
And it's like, yeah, it's like the way I kind of described it was, it was like a bloodstream, like if you're right, like it just things just flow around you, and yeah, so I think it was overwhelming, I would say, for sure, like it did kind of like suck you in and spit you out, kind of thing. And there was I but I'm so thankful that I've had the opportunity to live there, because it's kind of confirmed, how and where I want to live my life. It's like, I
Mhm.
don't think big city living is for me, but
Yeah,
like I said, I'm so thankful that I had the experience, because I would never know. I would just be curious about it forever,
right.
And I think it's like, you there is something very similar about big city experiences throughout. You compared it to Little Paris and New York and things like that, and so now I kind of know what it would be like to live in most of those places from that
Yeah,
experience. Yeah.
yeah. No, I compare it to New York because I live over here, but
Mm.
with the Little Paris, it's not my code. If you Google it, you could find there's a lot of people through history they call it Bucharest the Little Paris. So it's not
Oh,
my
that's
code,
cool.
you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, 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 yeah. Neat. I didn't
Uh,
I didn't know.
and also, I don't want to get you mad or anything, but also I want to tell you from the beginning uh, that my favorite uh, hockey team is Montreal Canadiens. So, but
Awesome.
not to get you mad from Toronto, but I want to ask you, how did you find the city, especially because Florida took them out from the from the trophy that I want to win it.
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Well,
I didn't quite understand. Yeah.
oh yeah, the question is, a few days ago, also my local team, which I don't root for, like Boston Bruins, were took out from the from the hockey playoff by
Yeah, yeah.
Florida, and also
Okay,
Toronto
okay.
was took out by Florida. So how did you find the city? Everybody was like sad and anything.
You know what? No, you know what? Okay, here. I'm going to tell you a sad, sad truth here. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So, our national sport is hockey. It's
Yeah,
hockey and lacrosse.
right,
And many of my friends play hockey. Maybe if friends love hockey, it's a big part of our culture.
right.
But I don't follow hockey.
No, no, I know you don't follow it, but
Yeah.
how did you find the people in the city when you came
Oh,
back?
the
Because
city. Oh, okay. So okay. So
no, I
um,
wasn't asking you personally
yeah,
because
yeah,
I know you
yeah.
don't like it. I know, I know.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. But so when I lived in Montreal, the whenever the Habs were playing,
Yeah,
there was or that's such a, like, a culturally diverse city. Like
Yeah.
when the World Cup was on, man, it's kind of like the city didn't sleep, because there was
Right.
always people, like parades, driving down, honking their horns, things like that. So definitely, I've kind of experienced that in Montreal, but I haven't quite experienced it in Toronto, because it kind of just like it's yeah, I just haven't experienced it quite yet. I just think maybe fans are too dispersed, whereas like I lived in the heart of Montreal kind of thing, so it was a little bit more easy to kind of pick out. But
Oh,
for
okay.
sure, the extremely dedicated fans. I would say, like, yeah, maybe if I was to compare, like, is there a version of a Steaua fan base in Canada? And I would probably say it would be like the Montreal Canadian hockey fans. I would
Yeah.
say that's, yeah, like by
Because you see, I'm a Steaua fan, I'm a Montreal Canadian fan. So
yeah,
I'm
there you go,
sitting in
right?
both.
Sticking through. Yeah,
And
no,
also in
definitely.
Montreal, there's my cousin and his brother-in-law and other people. Of course, they're all Steaua fans,
Yeah, yeah. It's in the
So
family. It's in the blood.
when I go somewhere, everybody has to follow me,
Mhm.
Also, now to go like into the funny part, not because we're like tension or anything during this interview, but um, us as a normal people, like when we go older, we kind of like remember all uh, the beautiful experience that we have, like in a high school or teenager or in a college. You guys, as a sports people, most of your memories you have it from the training, pre-training, pre-season, and stuff like that. If you have like a funny story or joke or a prank that one of your colleagues did it to you, or you did it to somebody, or you've seen somebody doing to anybody else,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
also something that you could tell, because there's a lot of things that you cannot say.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I know. It was okay. The smile on my face is because I'm immediately thinking of all the ones that you can't
Yeah,
tell.
yeah.
Yeah, so give me give me a moment to kind of think about one again.
Yeah.
Um, man, yeah, give me a second here to kind of think.
Right.
Oh man. So, I didn't get to do it, but so, I'll tell you about there was I can't um so okay, the thing that I love the most
Yep.
about my Steaua experience, like hands down,
Yep.
was the locker room. Okay. There was just something about, there was a lot of camaraderie and friendship and passion, but
Right.
man, um,
And I hope
Ga-
you're gonna
Ga-
be.
Ga-
I hope you
Gabri,
could be friends with the fans, so I could be one of your friends too.
yeah, oh yeah, definitely. But
But
oh
I,
man,
I, wa- I wasn't thinking just about if you have one with Steaua, it's good. But I was thinking of
no, no, no,
any
no,
of your
no,
teams.
no,
Yeah.
no, no. No. Okay, this would crack me up every time.
Yeah.
So our younger libero, Chris, and our second opposite, Gabriella.
Yeah.
So at the beginning of every game or every practice, we would always play a game called tennis, which is just like, it's a simple. There's two teams. You have one contact, just like tennis, but you'd play it with volleyball, and you just try
Yeah.
and score. So the ball is back and forth, and you're in the line. And so many times, Gabby would just pants Chris right before he was about to run in. He would just pull his pants down, and it was just, I don't know why I found it the funniest thing ever, but because for somehow, you'd think that you would learn, but Chris just never learned, and so he would
Yeah.
just get him every single flipping time. And that was kind of the most, I guess, friendly of versions that I can share. But I will
Right.
share one more thing, and it was kind of the guys. So I have a very different look than most people, with my long hair and things like that in sports in general,
Yep.
and often I get get teased or pushed around about it.
Don't worry, I know the feeling because I used to
Yeah.
have longer hair than you.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But I love it. It's a part of my identity,
Yeah,
and so, but anyway, all the guys are just like, hell, you got to cut that off. You got to cut it, Mark. Mark, what are you doing? What are you doing? And so I made a bet with all of them, um, that I would cut it off if we won our championship. And so unfortunately it's still here,
right.
but I would have let him do it. And Johnny, our libero, I said, okay, I'll let you cut it, but you have to wax one of your armpits, so it's hair for hair, hair for hair.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
but unfortunately, it didn't we didn't see it
yeah,
we
right.
didn't see it through, so it's going to continue to grow for a little bit longer. But
Yeah. Well,
anyway.
speaking about your long hair, because I know what I had my long hair, because one of my favorite bands is Metallica. So one of the reason was that. Another reason is like another favorite singer that I like. It's actually surprising because from Metallica going to the disco, it's like the guy from Switzerland, DJ Bobo. He also had long hair, and he's one of my favorite singers too. And also another Romanian singer that has long hair. So I had a whole bunch of reason why I want to have long hair. What was your reason that you made your hair grow like that?
Yeah. So it's like, first of all, I was kind of thinking like, the original was, well, hair doesn't last forever, so
Right.
why not try it in every kind of style and things like that. And then, it kind of like later just became like a symbol of discipline to me. Like,
Oh,
I guess, like, think about, like, in there's Scandinavian cultures. The Vikings used to grow out their hair. The longer it get,
yeah.
it's a sign of wisdom and things like
Right.
that. So stuff like that kind of resonated with me, and I liked the style. So that was kind of the
Actually,
three reasons.
through history, and it's stated that the men had long hair before the women. So
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So
and also another reason that I did, it's
come full circle.
one of the minister, the priest, when I went to the church and I had long hair, and after I told him that, he never asked me anything. He also asked me to cut it and stuff, and I told him, I'm sorry, but all the movies that I've seen with Jesus Christ, he has long hair. That's why I have it.
Yeah. That was.
After I told him that, he never asked me anything.
Yeah, there you go, right? You you
Yeah.
you, you showed him. Oh, that was oh yeah, I get like Tarzan,
Yeah.
Jesus all the time,
Yeah, me
and
too.
like,
Like, I
oh
don't know if
yeah.
you know, one of the Indians chiefs was like Vina too. They call me Vina too. Also, like,
Okay, cool. Yeah.
also like another question, like as a uh, something like not like something fake, like but like that movie. If you are like God for one day, if you could make the rules for one day in volleyball, what would be one of the rules that always like bothered you and you want to
Yeah.
take it out?
I,
And
I,
what would be like a rule that you want to implement and kind of like help the players this way?
okay. So 100%. The one rule that I would change is I would eliminate the libero position.
Hmm.
That's what I would do. So like, oh, I forget what year it was, but that's kind of a newer thing to the sport.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, but I would again, because remember early on I talked about, like I play volleyball, but I play the middle blocker version of the
Right.
volleyball. If you take out the libero, then I receive. I can attack in the back row. It reduces specialization, and so now all players are going to start doing. Yeah, so that's what I would do. Um, um, just out of pure kind of selfishness, though, too. I want to recognize that position opens up volleyball to a lot of different people, because it's a position now that doesn't require you to be X centimeters high, and
Yeah.
it opens up the sport that way. But from a selfish perspective, that's what I would do.
Right.
In terms of like a, a rule that I would implement. Um, You know what? I never kind of thought about that in terms of adding another rule.
Yeah.
And but I've also kind of thought one here, I'll tell you, can I give you another one that I would eliminate
Yeah, yeah,
instead?
of course. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I think that I think just tipping in general needs to be changed because there as a blocker, I think it's really frustrating. Like I would be curious to know what indoor volleyball looked like um, without open hand tips, like indoor volleyball, what with beach rules as well. So yeah, I'd be curious to know what that's like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, a question that I had it ready, but now that you already decided to retire, I can ask you how hard would be when you're gonna make the decision. So you already made the decision. So
Mhm.
how hard was for you to came up with this decision?
Yes. So I'll tell you about the transition because so like I said, I was struggling to get to be involved and to be a part of the national team, right?
Yeah,
And so after I had this strong performance in Champions League, and I had kind of given up on the dream of
yeah,
being with the national
the
team because
national
I was
team.
just like I felt like I did everything I could, and so then I reframed and changed my mindset and competing against only myself and only trying not to worry about things that were outside of my control.
Yeah,
And so within that mindset change, I had another year with Carlovasco that was quite successful, and these kind of like big goals. Um, I kind of reevaluated and understood that I'd always liked doing the sport because it made me feel accomplished because I was growing every day.
yeah,
And so at that time, I kind of understood, okay, well, you know what, Mark, you've become the greatest version of yourself. It's like if I was to think about, if you had infinite personality, or if there was infinite versions of you, I truly believe that I've done everything and I could to become the best I could at volleyball. I don't think that I've wasted many times. I've taken advantage of all the opportunities that have come my way to become the best player I could, and
yeah,
I kind of with the focus and the mental change, like I described, I kind of got there. So I felt an immense amount of self satisfaction. Um,
yeah.
tick in the boxes kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, when I changed all of that, that's when the national team called me. Funny enough, so it's just kind of funny how that kind of worked out, and it was very romantic. And so in that sense, I had felt like I had done everything, and I decided to come to Steaua because I wanted to. Um, well, at that time I was with the national team, and that's when I had signed the contract and things like that. And so a lot,
Mhm.
a lot of things can change quickly, but I had
Right.
begun to process this reality of retirement. Um, you know, 2 years before 2 years
Yeah.
ago, basically. That's kind of when it started, and so that's what's made the decision much easier, is
Right.
because I've recognized my accomplishments. I understand that I did what I set out to do, and
Mhm.
so that's it's a little bit more about providing and making a secure and safe environment for my family back home.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, I just remember uh, a question that I should have asked you before the childhood. Uh, it's like in those first years before you go to school, everybody depends on the environment that we live in, the close friends, or what we see on TV, and family and everything that's surrounding us. Everybody's making like different dreams. I was like growing up with different movies uh, with detective and stuff. So I kind of want to be a detective at that time. So what was your dreams when you were a little kid?
Yeah. Okay. So, man, that was so I remember another one of my mottos, or sorry, not my mottos, my role models. I remember we mentioned Bruce Lee.
Yeah,
Um, um, another one of them. Well, this was my dad's role model, and
Oh,
he's a musician, so he plays guitar,
oh, okay.
and his role model was or idol was Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so often we would watch like VHS tapes of him and his concerts. I remember like Woodstock was his performances would just be on in our household a lot,
Yeah.
listening and watching to them. And um, I remember very specifically the way that he played the instrument felt so free and just different than a lot of other people
Yeah.
in the industry. It was like he was kind of like a pioneer, and I was just like, man, that's really what greatness looked like to
Mhm.
me. I was just like, he's just like it's just pouring out of him. And so that's what motivated me to begin with. I remember the conversation very specifically when I was younger, and I said, I was thinking about what I wanted to do, and I said, and I was speaking with my father at the time,
Yeah.
and I said, you know what, I don't really care what I do, is that I just want to be great at it. I want to
Right.
be within like the 1% of whatever I do.
Yeah.
Um, and because like I wanted to be like Jimi Hendrix that way. I wanted to be great, like feel what that was like.
Yeah.
So that was my motivation. It was never like a specific, like I want to go to the moon, or I want to be a firefighter or a police officer, or a doctor or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like, oh, I want to be great at something. And then I kind of naturally just got pushed into sports because of my size. And then, I've told you the rest already.
Right.
That's how it kind of blossomed. And yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's how it was.
Right.
Um, I would just I'd just like to give you if we could wrap up in maybe
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
uh,
sorry.
oh,
You,
no worries, maybe
yeah.
10
I
minutes.
would have
Could
kind
I
of
give you
like
10 more
even.
minutes?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
just have one more question and then the
Okay,
final
perfect.
message. And I'm
Yeah, yeah.
sorry I keep you that long, but
No, it's
I
okay.
kind
It's
of
okay.
feel
I've
like
really
you
enjoyed
wanted
my
to have it
time, man.
long, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I've really enjoyed my time.
Because
It's been a
otherwise I
lot of
would have
fun.
cut it a long time ago. But I
No,
feel
it's
like
okay.
I really enjoy it. And if you said this will be one of the last opportunities, I want to take advantage of it, you know?
Yeah, yeah, sure, for sure, for
So
sure. No, no
the
problem.
last question before the final message would be if not just with this interview and podcast, if people are watching, but in general, if people feel like attracted to the sports, either the kids or the parents that want to take their kids to play volleyball, what would be your advice to them, and what kind of qualities they need to possess to get into the sport?
Okay, so yeah, like I kind of mentioned. hmm, So I'll mention two things.
Yeah,
Um, of course, if you want to play professionally, if that is a dream of yours as a kid,
yeah,
and it's always to your advantage to kind of start as early as you can.
yeah,
Um, and but with volleyball specifically, sometimes that's quite challenging from something that I mentioned earlier on. Whereas like I was talking to you, like I really enjoy basketball because I can just
yeah,
go somewhere and just shoot, and just pick up a ball and practice.
yeah,
So I think if I was younger and I was talking to somebody younger that wanted to play volleyball, I would tell them to start to play beach volleyball
yeah.
at the beginning, because it's I think it's a fun alternative to this to indoor, and you need less things. You need less people
Well,
and
it's not
less
more
equipment.
risky because it's on the sand. It's not more risky to get injured and stuff.
No, 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 no. You know what? You know what? I think it's comparable. I think you might even, as a kid, you might even get there might be less injuries, believe it
Oh,
or not.
okay.
Yeah, because it's kind of like a softer surface. But because there's a lot of times where, yeah, yeah. No, I would say it's comparable.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say that it's a riskier scenario.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, so that's what I would do, is that the most difficult barrier to entry into volleyball is just finding a community or finding a place to train and play to begin with. And so I think maybe if you could play beach volleyball in the summers or something like that, that could open up options and start you on your journey a little bit better. I think if I was to go back and tell myself, hey, Mark, you're going to be a professional volleyball when you grow up. And I would say like, hey, man, you should start on the beach.
Right.
I think that would be my recommendation.
You might gonna get distraction if you go to on the beach, like.
Yeah, I for sure. Yeah. All the sharks and the dolphins swimming to the water next to you. Yeah, I'm sure that's what everybody's looking at. But anyway,
Oh, okay, yeah. You kind of go to the other way, yeah.
yeah. No, I'm just playing with you. I know.
Yeah, no problem. And I sorry I keep you that long, but like I said,
No, it's
it
okay.
was like a very enjoyable conversation, and I think
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed.
and if you have like a final message, and I'm really happy that you feel that warm welcome, and see how Steaua fans are in the stands and stuff like that, and you enjoy it, and you're gonna keep it in your memories forever. And if you have a message in general for volleyball fans, and especially for Steaua fans, this I'm trying to be like a Steaua channel.
Absolutely. So I would like to say thank you, first of all, for the opportunity of the interview. And thanks to you, and thanks to all the Steaua fans in general. The root of an athlete, like, we're an entertainer.
Yep.
We get paid a salary to play a sport, to entertain people around us. And so without you guys, my career doesn't exist. And what was the absolute pleasure of being in Romania was experiencing the passion that you guys have for your club.
Yeah.
And so that was, I think I might have said it earlier on when we weren't filming, but
Yeah.
I had the opportunity, my most fond memory in Romania, and actually it's definitely within one of my top five in my entire career, was that regular season match against Dinamo, where you guys came out and I had an army behind me. It was the coolest thing. It was one of the loudest environments I've ever played in. But when I was on the service line, I didn't hear a damn thing, because I was so focused. I was so motivated from all the noise, all of the cheering, all the chanting, so that's I truly got to experience the passion that everybody shares for this club. And I'm so grateful that I had an opportunity to be a part of it. So thanks again. And it was a wonderful send off to my career.
Yeah, and too bad I cannot, when I'm going to Romania now, when because of the Bucharest Marathon, my brother it's running like around like 3 marathons a year, and he never runs the Bucharest Marathon. So we want to go now for that. And of course, I'm going to try to see as many games and sports from Steaua, as many as I can. And too bad I cannot see you anymore, but at least you give me this opportunity, which is much better than if I would see you and take a photo and sign an autograph. This is something that lives forever, not just for me, for all the Steaua fans. They might going to get and Google it and get interested through generations from now, and see one of our foreign players that play for our club. And like I said, you're already in the history for Steaua, even if you want it or if you don't want it.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to be a part of the journey, for sure. Yeah.
So guys, this was for this week. I'm gonna see you again next week with another famous guest. And like we always end it, we cannot end it but just by saying Forța Steaua.
Forța Steaua.